Dynamic entry. Hey guys, Nate again here, back with the video for you, solo style, Han style, if you will. And I'm going to be talking about some basketball today. That's right. I know what you're thinking. Basketball on an anime channel? No, it's not going to be just basketball. It's going to be anime related because that's what you came for, right? I'm going to be giving you guys some real life player comparisons to anime characters because that's fun, right? I thought it was fun. So yeah, that's what I'm doing today. So let's get into it. Okay, so this trend, I believe it's on the internet. Everything's on the internet, but I saw it on TikTok. Some guy did a comparison of like this player. It was Chris Paul. He was like, Chris Paul is a player who's a guard, blah, blah, blah. And he compared him to Shikamaru at the end of it. He was doing comparisons of players to characters in Naruto. And I thought it'd be fun to do comparisons myself, but not limit myself to just Naruto. I'm going to give you guys more than just Naruto characters. And I'm not going to do every basketball player because that'd be way too hard. That's too many people. Rather, I'm going to give you guys 5 players. I'm going to pick the top 5 finalists for the MVP award last year. So the 2021 to 2022 season, the season that just passed. And if you don't watch basketball, I'm sorry. This is going to be kind of like, you might be lost. But if you don't watch it, you can get into it. Anyway, yeah, so these top 5 candidates were the ones who almost won the most valuable player last year, meaning they were the best players in the league, the top 5. And those top finalists, according to ESPN, were Luka Doncic, Devin Booker, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, and Nikola Jokic. Of course, Jokic won it last year and the year before that, so he's a back-to-back champion. So I'm going to go in ascending order, I guess. So from 5 all the way to the first, Nikola Jokic, who won it last year. So let's get into it, I guess. Okay, so starting off, our list is going to be Luka Doncic. He plays point guard for the Dallas Mavericks, and he is a talented son of a bitch. Despite my feelings, full disclosure, I'm a Suns fan. Last playoffs, he and his team eliminated my team. I currently hate him. But as a player, this guy is phenomenal. He's been playing professionally since he was 19 for the Real Madrid team in Spain. And he is, in every sense of the word, just a prodigy of the game. And he's been highly touted since he was coming in. And every year they have him as like the front runner for MVP. He hasn't won it yet, but every year he's like, oh, yeah, he's the one. And many people believe that once LeBron leaves the league, if he ever leaves the league, at this point it doesn't seem like he will, he's the next in line to kind of take the throne and be the face of the league. And yeah, so him as a player, he's like a genius on the court. The way he moves, the way he makes plays, he can shoot out of his mind. And when you see him, you're like, wow, he doesn't seem like he would be a good player. His stature's kind of bigger. He's not fat, but he's not super skinny. So it's kind of weird to see like him playing the position that he does and playing as well as he does, because it doesn't seem like he would be able to do it. But he's, regardless of those, I guess, physical limitations, he plays the game just like beautifully. And if you are a fan of basketball, watching him play is kind of like, okay, well, this kid's like, he's got it. He's got everything he needs to succeed in this league. And last year he kind of, for me at least, got into the villain role. I guess depending on what team you voted for or were going for in the playoffs, people were kind of voting for my Suns to get eliminated really early. But yeah, I saw him more of like a villain way, a villain light. And that is his comparison for me. Luka Doncic to me very much seems like a Light Yagami character. Light from Death Note. He, much like Light, is very smart. His IQ on the basketball court is high. He's like, it's just too easy for him sometimes. It seems like he's not even trying. Like I said, his body doesn't seem like it's moving fast at all, but he makes the right plays. He just scores at will, and he's leading his team, and it's just like, wow, this kid is like, he's so far and ahead, like above everybody, like mentally. That's what it feels like for me. So he feels like he fits in that Light Yagami role where he's just like, this kid is like super smart and he's wasting his time doing all this shit, but he always like, he has the higher aspirations. And like I said, I saw him more of a villain last year. He played kind of in that role, and Light, of course, is like the anti-hero of Death Note. And for me, seeing him, I'm like, I can see the comparison. You can see Luka is like one like bad play away from like snapping and becoming like a psycho on the court. Not psycho like he's gonna kill somebody, but psycho like he could really go for your throat and like just put you away. You and your entire team, and that's what he did basically to my team. Yeah, so that's my comparison for Luka Doncic. He is Light Yagami in the anime world, just a fucking smart genius on the court and off the court. Okay, so number 4 on the list is going to be Devin Booker. It's my guy, my guy for my team. He plays shooting guard for the Phoenix Suns, and last year he kind of at the end of the year he kind of caught on fire and snuck into the MVP race. I know a lot of people didn't think he should be up there, but his numbers prove that, of course, he should have been up there. So my comparison for Devin Booker. So on the court, he's a killer. He scores in bunches. He's a shooter. He's lights out, and he makes plays that you don't think he can do. Like, he has like this weird like rock step that he does that like just when you see it you're like, that doesn't work, and he just like gets by his defenders really easily. And he studied under Kobe, so he has like that killer mindset that he can really just like, he's gonna turn it on a minute notice, and he goes above and beyond for his team as far as like being the scorer. I wouldn't say he's much of a leader for the Suns. Of course, that is Chris Paul. He is our vocal leader, and I feel like he's kind of off on his own. He does his own thing. He's part of the team, obviously, but like Devin is like a side character. It kind of like reminds me of he's like the side character who's like the killer. He's feared by people in the league that play against him, and everybody knows his potential of what he can be if he ever fully realizes his own potential. There's been flashes, of course. He's had like a 70-point game where he's just like lit up the entire court, and everyone's like, oh shit, he's like the real deal. He should be the one to take over when our team is down. It's not always him who takes over. Sometimes, like I said, it's Chris Paul, the leader of our team, and even our role players take over. And Devin kind of is in the background a little bit of the time. And a lot of people, I don't know what it is about him, but people don't like Devin as a player. I guess they just feel like sometimes he is soft. I guess for them, he like hunts for calls and like he whines a lot, all this stuff. And so he's kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way as far as like watchers go. People watch him, they're like, I don't like him. A lot of people hate him on the team. I don't know what it is, but he just does have like that vibe to him that people don't like him. But for me, my comparison for Devin would be Megumi from Jujutsu Kaisen. Why? Because I feel like he has the same kind of vibe. He's kind of like on his own, doing his own thing, and everybody who talks about Megumi, they're like, oh, they fear him. They see him, they're like, oh shit, he's scary. He has like a whole past at his old high school where he was like kind of a bully, and all the cursors who see him and they see his power, they're like, oh, has a lot of potential. I want him. I forgot who it was. Somebody wanted his body. Like they wanted to like actually like possess him or some shit like that. But everybody who sees him sees the power that he has inside of him, and we haven't, as viewers, seen the power yet. We're like, what do you mean? Like, unless you read the manga. But like the viewers are like, he's strong, yeah, but like I don't understand. And there was the one episode where we get to see him finally unleash his domain expansion, and it's kind of like shitty that he thinks himself. He's like, it's kind of like, it's not great, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And he unleashes the power, and we kind of see like, oh shit, Megumi, if he could and wanted to, he could fuck everybody up. And that's kind of how I feel like Devin Booker is. If he wants to, he can do it, and he would just be feared. And he already is kind of feared. Like I said, if you watch him, you fear him. You're like, oh shit, he can go for 70 at any given moment. You wouldn't expect it. And I feel like that's the best comparison for me, Devin to Megumi. I know Megumi's not as disliked by people as Devin is, but I couldn't find someone who was like disliked but also like fucking strong as hell. But anyway, yeah, so Devin Booker to me is Megumi from Jujutsu Kaisen. All right, third on the list is going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo, plays forward for the Milwaukee Bucks. Again, it's like I'm surrounded by my pain here. The Bucks 2 years ago eliminated my Suns in the finals. Kind of painful, but hey, it happens. Not as salty as it is about as Luka was, or as I was about Luka. People don't dislike Giannis. Giannis is like the coolest person in the league. Super humble. Everybody loves him. He's a great guy, from what we've seen at least. And man, he's dominant on the court. He gets the ball. He can just fucking take it up the court in like 2 steps. He's so long, so lengthy. He's powerful. When he gets a full head of steam driving down the lane, it's like you can't get in his way. He's gonna just fucking yam it on you every time. And he didn't always start off that way. When he was drafted, he was kind of like, oh, this kid's unknown. He's from Greece. He barely speaks English, and everyone's like, I don't know about this guy. All he really has going for him is his length. But throughout the years, he's gotten stronger, and he's perfected little parts of his game. He's developed a jumper. He's gotten a little bit more of a handle. His free throws, he would take forever at the line. He's kind of like cut that down, and he's becoming a real leader, and he brought a ring to his team, and he's just like the ultimate champion, the ultimate player as far as like NBA standards go. He's dominant on the court. He's liked off the court. He's just constantly working to get better, even though he's already like at the top of his game. Besides Luka, Giannis was the next one in line to take over the throne and be the face of the NBA. Some say he already is. And yeah, so for me, my comparison for Giannis would be Deku. I know, kind of weird, kind of random, but I feel like they have very similar traits. We know the power that Deku has when he unleashes like all like a 100% of his power. He's like the strongest person ever, besides All Might, obviously. But his strength is just ridiculous, and you're like, oh shit, he's really strong. But he also continues to work on himself and tries to find better ways to use his own power and develop new things for him to succeed. And that's kind of how Giannis, I feel, is, where he's developing new things in his game to make him better than what he is. And he's using his IQ on the court, and Deku has a high IQ when he's not using powers. That's like his secondary quirk to me, is like how smart he is and he's figuring shit out. And like, personality wise, they're both the same. They're both kind of like just like the happy-go-lucky, like everybody loves them kind of like, oh, he's so nice, he's just like a genuinely nice person, and you want him to succeed. And that's how people feel about Giannis. It's like, yeah, you want him to succeed. And yeah, that's the best comparison I have. I know it's kind of weird, but when you think about it like a little bit, underneath all it all, you're like, oh, okay, I can see that. I see how they're kind of the same, similar like worth ethic. And yeah, that's just my comparison that I can think of is Deku. So Giannis Antetokounmpo is Deku. All right, number 2 on the MVP list and comparison list is going to be Joel Embiid. The process, baby. He plays center for the Philadelphia 76ers, and this man is a beast on the court. He is just like the closest thing I feel like we have. Yeah, I would say the closest thing we have to like a prime Shaq. Like, he's just so dominant and big, and he's just he's one of my personal favorite players because just like he doesn't care. He's a troll on the court and off the court. He plays into the villain role. Like, when he's scoring on you and he's like in your hometown, he's like hyping up the crowd. I was like, yeah, come on, like he's like a gladiator out there when he's playing. And yeah, he's just a beast. He's dominant in the paint. He can stretch the floor. He can shoot. Yeah, he really is just like a genuinely like an amazing player to watch, and he's became one of my favorites. And I'm not usually like a fan of like the centers in the league. I like more like the smaller guards who like do more flashy stuff. But for me, Joel was one of the first big men that I'm like, oh, he's actually really cool, and I enjoy the way he plays. So for me, Joel Embiid, his most closest comparison, I think, I've already had one character from the show. Sorry, I'm gonna repeat the show. It's gonna be Toto from Jujutsu Kaisen, just because Joel, I feel like, is the same as Toto. They have the same personality. Like, they're both super strong and they have like amazing abilities, and they're both trolls at the end of the day. Toto's a fucking troll. Like, he's gonna ask you in the middle of fighting you, hey, what do you find in women attractive? Like, who's your ideal woman? And I feel like Joel Embiid would be that type of person on the court to be like randomly like, hey, what's your favorite type of woman? Oh, it's not that? All right. And then he just drops 50 on your head, and you're like, oh, damn, I wasn't expecting that from him. And yeah, to me, that's just like the same energy matching for me. It has nothing to do really with fighting styles, because I don't think Joel plays like Toto plays. I guess he's not like shifty like Toto is, but he's just like so strong. And I guess that's like the biggest physical comparison. It would be like how strong Joel is on the court and how strong Toto is. But for me, it was mainly more like the troll aspect of it, the troll personality. Like, he's gonna play around with you while he's kind of beating your ass, and that's kind of like what Joel does. He kind of keeps the 90s basketball attitude alive, where he's kind of like bruising you and he's talking shit to you the whole time. And I feel like that's the best and closest comparison I can have, even though I know I already used a Jujutsu Kaisen character. I'm sorry, but for me, that's the comparison. Okay, and finally, the person who actually won MVP last year, Nikola Jokic, aka the Joker. He plays center. Again, these centers are dominating the league. Who would have thought years later that centers come back into it after small ball has kind of taken over? Anyway, Nikola Jokic is my next comparison. He plays for the Denver Nuggets. I think I already said that. He's the league MVP. And it's funny because him winning the award, like I said earlier, he's won it back-to-back. Both years, people are kind of like, I guess he is technically the MVP. He puts up the numbers, he leads his team to wins, and it's like, you can't deny him. Even though you want to, you can't. A lot of people didn't want to give it to him this year. It's bad enough to give someone a back-to-back MVP, but it's worse when you feel like he doesn't have anybody on his side. People who watch him play, like real fans of basketball, know like, oh shit, yeah, Jokic is he's amazing. But casuals are like, this guy wanted his body stature. He's bigger. He looks slower, and he just doesn't look like a basketball player. When you see him, he's like a big Serbian dude, and he just looks like he wouldn't play. He looks like he'd play like fucking rugby or something. You're like, oh, that guy doesn't belong on the court, but he does belong on the court. This man is making amazing plays. He's throwing passes behind his back, around the corner, up your ass, all this shit, and you're like, oh damn, this guy's making plays. Even though he's not the fastest or the strongest, he's just like, he's doing shifty things, and it's like, how is he like doing? He's deceptive. That's what it is. He's very deceptive, and he's by the time you know it, he's already has like 14 assists, he has like 25 points and like 10 rebounds. You're like, what the hell? Where did this come from? He's so quiet of a player, but he is the undoubted leader of his team. And without his team would be in the fucking shitter without him. Especially last year, they didn't have anybody. And yeah, he's definitely valuable to his team and the most valuable player in the league. And for me, my comparison for him is going to be Levi from Attack on Titan. Why? Because Levi, much like Jokic, is the leader of his squadron, of his team. But they're both very like soft-spoken. Like as a badass as Levi is, and everybody loves him, he doesn't say much. He kind of just stays quiet and doesn't only really speak unless he needs to tell you something like, hey, you need to fucking buckle down and focus on the task. And that's kind of like Jokic. He's just kind of very quiet. And then in huddles, he's just like, hey, this is what we need to do. We need to win. And much like Jokic, his body, you wouldn't expect him to be as much of a beast as he is. Same with Levi. Levi's tiny. You're like, what? That guy's not gonna, he's a pipsqueak. He's not gonna do anything. And he takes down a fucking beast Titan. And you're like, oh shit, this guy's the shit. And that's Jokic and Levi for me is just the underestimated stature of them and the quiet, stoic nature of them. And without them, both of their squads and teams would just fail miserably. And yeah, that's just like the closest thing that I could find to Jokic. Jokic is a very interesting player. Like I said, if you're a casual, when you watch him, you're not going to really be super impressed, unless he does like a crazy ass pass, which is bound to happen. But yeah, if you know you're watching, you know what to look for. You're like, oh damn, this guy's like, he's the real deal. And of course, he should have won MVP last year. I would have liked Joel to win it, but Joel did not win it, unfortunately. Maybe next year. But yeah, as far as it goes, Jokic is just the most valuable player right now. He is the Levi of the league. That's him. And those are my NBA to anime comparisons. Hopefully you guys like them. I'm sure you're gonna disagree because I don't have all the knowledge when it comes to anime, and I don't have all the knowledge when it comes to basketball. I just try to do my best to kind of see the comparisons and make them happen. If you have any comparisons down below that you want me to know about, go ahead and comment them. I'd love to read them. If you think that I could have done better and compared this player to someone else, let me know that too. Whatever you want to do, let me know down below. Also subscribe and follow, all that fun stuff. Thank you guys for watching, and catch you guys in the next one, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'll do like NFL players or something. Or part 2 of this. Who knows? I don't know. I'll compare things. To compare thee to a rose would... I don't know the monologue. But bye, guys.